What are you two? What are you two women arguing about?
All right, Terry.
They're arguing about friendship, Chrysler, Deep Dodge, and Ram.
That's exactly right, because they're trying to figure out which one's going to have a better deal. But guess what? They both got great deals right now. Friendship Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, and Friendship Nissan of Forest City, North Carolina, 190 Oak Street Extension. Tom, how about you give the phone numbers out?
It's 828-919-3001 for the Jeep dealership, and it's 828-245-1661 for the Nissan dealership. Go see them today. Get yourself a new ride for the 4th of July.
All right,
Jeez, I think that was one of the best ad-libs I think we've ever done.
Hunter wasn't here last week, so I'm going to get his quick opinion.
Is that a birthday party?
Start this on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Started early.
It was that night, and it rolled over into the next day where we went to an arena football game, and that was one of the funniest things ever.
I'm behind you, Hunter. I'm on your side.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Party started early, huh?
Party started early.
Terry was worried you was going to start your July 4th party this morning.
Nah. That's for Independence Day.
Okay, so the NCAA baseball had sellout crowds, kick state out, and in fact, those state players that were kicked out could buy a ticket,
And
sit
go
on the
watch
front
the
row, and heckle Frank Viola. Now, Hunter, did the NCAA mess up / screw NC State, and what are your feelings about how everything has happened / fell down? And should Mississippi State play NC State in 2 weeks in a brawl for all?
Yeah, of course. I think everybody in the area and the majority of people can see that the NCAA screwed NC State out of opportunity of making the College World Series legitimately. Now, if they play and Vanderbilt wins, I get it. Okay, maybe Vanderbilt would have been the better team, but at least they had a shot. You didn't just look at them and basically say, you had your chance, sorry, but we're going to decide that you don't have a chance anymore.
Well, the problem is you made the rule. Now you have to go by the rule. The rule should have been reevaluated, and adjusted for this tournament, and it wasn't. And now you're stuck with that rule. Yeah, unless you're LeBron James, you have to go by the rules.
That's the truth. I mean, Chris Paul had to sit out, but LeBron James didn't.
Yeah, Chris Paul has to sit out, but the King, no, rules don't apply to
him.
But
I will say this, though. I understand what you mean. Mississippi State and NC State should play each other then in the next few weeks to see who's really the champion. Well, that's just assuming NC State would have won that series against Vanderbilt. And that's a whole bunch of what ifs, okay?
Hey, I've seen worse brackets in American Legion tournaments than that. Have you not, Terry?
Yes.
But I will say this.
I mean, it's a joke, but I'm being serious. I've seen worse brackets.
I think NC State probably could have done it. I know the game that they did win against Vanderbilt was like just a huge bomb that was sent out to right field, but still.
I mean, it's just you have to look at your rule. It's like the sprinter. I can't remember the name of the sprinter who's been kicked out of the Olympics because she tested positive for marijuana. I mean, you got to evaluate your rules a little bit, okay? I mean, you're going to give somebody you're going to give NC State the death penalty over this COVID stuff, or you're going to give somebody the death penalty because they tested positive for a drug that's legal in like 37 states.
Do we actually have the facts of what rule what was wrong with NC State and why they?
I don't know why we're doing this stuff.
Well,
what was the exact rule?
Why are we doing this?
Well,
why?
No, well, okay. There's two different questions.
Vanderbilt's the one that said State needed to be tested.
Right. Okay. So a couple of things real quick. So there's two different arguments we're talking about here. So one is if it's a rule, do we follow it? Is it a dumb rule? Do we change it? Blah blah blah. I want to know with the NC State thing, what happened? What was the rule that they broke? All I hear is they broke COVID protocol, but did people test positive for something? The only thing I've seen is that 4 people who've already got the vaccine tested positive. So now, as far as the tests go, you can look online and do your own research. The tests go, when the more cycles they do, you'll get more positive tests. They could be wrong tests. We've had plenty of false positives. So what are they testing for? I want to know exactly what NC State did. Did they do something deliberately wrong? Because I'm just confused as a person, as a fan, what happened and what they did wrong.
Well, it's glaring
before we even get to the decisions.
It's glaring and apparent that they don't want the public to know what exactly went wrong, because the statement that the NCAA put out immediately after it happened just was basically saying we want to congratulate on NC State for the great season that they've had so far. And then at the end, they were like, that's the only comment we have at this time. The NCAA didn't even want to own up to it. Well, you may have effed up here, pal. I'll just put a nice way of saying it. But I will say this, in the end, because there was a theory that this was an opportunity the NCAA wanted to take to make very good money off of TV ratings for Mississippi State Vanderbilt, because Vanderbilt has 2 top 5 possible picks in this upcoming MLB draft. And they're both pitchers, and they wanted to see him on the big stage.
I think that's a stretch.
I'm just saying that was a theory. I'm not saying that's what happened, but you can say that it was the correct restitution when Vanderbilt got beat by Mississippi State, and Mississippi State ended up being College
That was the
World
greatest
Series.
thing that ever happened.
Yes.
I mean,
100%.
I'm sure NC State fans were happy
And
about
you know
that.
what? I'm happy. That's actually I don't know if you paid attention to it. It's first ever major championship in Mississippi State history. Yes.
I don't know if it reminds you guys of this. I know Hunter's too young. A lot of this, the way we're acting, the way we're doing some of this stuff, it reminds me a lot. But if we've gone past it, it's how the AIDS reaction was with the Magic Johnson situation. I brought this up last week. And the blood on the floor. It used to be you can't even play. So we've got to find a line that's okay for people to play. Again, I brought this up last week. Do you know if any college athletes, high school, pro, that have been hospitalized with corona or died from it?
High school athletes or college athletes? No. No.
Right. Okay. Have we seen any reports of it? We've seen people test positive, but have we seen anybody been hospitalized or, at all with it? I don't know. I don't know. My question is, as far as I think, I haven't seen any. So at what point do we live with it, work through it? The whole Cole Beasley situation. He's like, so you're kicking me out of the league last year when half the people could have had it. We don't even know who had it. But now, because I don't have the vaccine, I can't play. And so that's that's what he's arguing about right now. So what line are we drawing to where, hey, those state players can sit on the front row of this stadium, but they can't be on the field? Why is that?
You make a good point there, because this whole time we're playing in front of, full crowds. Nobody was standing at the gate basically saying, if you don't have your vaccination permit, you can't come in or whatever, that your little card. So, and you didn't have to wear a mask. So it is a little bit hypocritical for that to happen, where the NCAA and just that venue as a whole can make the profit that it is at the gate, and then look at the players and say, oh, well, I'm sorry, we've got a couple, 10, 15,000 people here that we didn't check.
I think there were 24,000.
Might have been more. I might have undersold
24
it.
grand.
It's
per game.
You can look at it as however you want it. I'm just happy that Mississippi State won, and Vanderbilt was not basically handed a free trip to the College World Series that they really didn't earn. Think about it. You're down 0-1, and then the next day they're like, well, guess what, buddy? You get to go on. It's okay. Don't worry. We got your back.
Yeah.
Well, State was give the option of their players taking the shot or not. But if they would have taken it, they could have been sick, like some people have got sick the next day or the next. So some of the State's players decided not to take the shot. Is why this all happened. Then Vanderbilt says they all need to be tested. So then it comes up, some of them have it. But the whole situation comes into, we play in game 2. We play 5 players short with 5 players playing different positions they never played all year. We get beat 3-1. All right, the next day, all of a sudden, we're out of it. Some of those players have come back to North Carolina. Some, not all of them, have been tested, and it has not come up positive. So people, if you think this was right, this was wrong. Totally wrong. You took State completely out of it, and you don't know whether it's true or bad. It come up true there. When they got back, it's false.
The problem is that even today, with no matter how much testing we do have, there's still too many false positives. They're like, what was it when we first even came out with the test? It was you could almost flip a coin on which one you're going to get, unless you are obviously with symptoms and you are sick. There was sometimes you didn't even know whether or not that stick was telling you the truth or not. That's the problem with it, was just how much of a fine line it is between it's a true reading or it's a false reading. And if you got sent home as an athlete because it was a false reading, how are you going to feel about that? How does that make you feel, knowing that just it's almost like it's the test's fault? Now, I understand the rule, but then you could almost blame the test for not being as accurate as it needs to be. Because then, like you said, say you got tested. Like, how's it going to work if you get tested on a Monday? Say you fly home Tuesday, if your state, of course I'm using the days as hypotheticals, and you get tested when you get off the plane, and it's a negative. Yeah. And you're sitting there saying, well, I just got sent home because it was a positive. And I feel fine. I look fine. It was the Florida State Clemson.
I just want to. It's a lot of this is.
I don't know.
It's hard to deal with, and I feel bad for the state fans.
It is tough, but like I said, I think the retribution came around when it wasn't Vanderbilt that was holding up the College World Series championship at the end.
I agree.
With Mississippi State being the one that came out on top. I'm not saying it makes what happened any less bad, and I feel for them, but
the baseball gods rectified the situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, as far as that goes, how about name, image, likeness coming to college